see what I see?
I see a beautiful hamburger.
I bet it's a clue.
Yeah, I bet.
We'd better memorize it.
I don't think we'll have to memorize it. The hamburger's winning.
Boy, my mouth's watering. Let's go.
Come on, boys and gals. Let's have a barbecue.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday!
What's going on here?
Sir, I'm arrested. Oh,
Wacky fun.
Everybody, wacky fun. We're doing creativity cookout this time without Luke. Just me, CJ, and Whiskey here for now. Yeah, how's everyone doing? How's everyone's Sunday?
Going good so far.
Good.
Like I said just before I got into the stream here, I spilled my coffee all over the floor and just kind of winging it and out of sorts. So let's do it.
Perfect. Let's do it. So yeah, we were going over testimonies, and last time we kind of left off on me. So I guess it's RJ's turn, and
step up, man.
Yeah, time to get vulnerable.
Don't say it like it's a bad thing. Yeah.
It's hard to get firemen to be vulnerable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so where to begin? I was raised Catholic initially. I think I mentioned that before. But we were kind of what people call Creasters, which means you only go to church on Christmas and Easter. And we probably started going to church regularly when I was like 10. Mm-hmm. And oops, did I change the layout here? There we go. That's a better layout. Yeah, we started going to church regularly when I was about 10, and my parents decided they weren't really into the Catholic Church so much. So they started attending a church that they were invited to by a friend of theirs, and it happened to be a Pentecostal church. So that was a big culture shock, going from Catholic to Pentecostal.
It is quite a distance.
And after that, we moved and we went to just kind of your standard sort of non-denominational evangelical church, kind of a mega church. And we went there for like most of my childhood. And I'll segue a little bit because it kind of ties into how I got into writing and sort of my testimony as well. I was the youngest, like by far in my family, like way younger than everybody else. And I also had like really bad anxiety. I was diagnosed with OCD, and movies were actually part of how I related to everybody, because that was like the only shared experience that I felt like kind of put us all on somewhat level footing and something we could experience together and talk about. And like growing up, I really knew I just wanted to be in the movie industry. And I also just kind of, I went to church, and I think I had faith then, but I didn't really like have any sort of reasons to back up my faith. And when things, get hard, I guess, as you grow up and you get to a certain age, it's usually for most people, I think late high school, early college, where they start to question the things they're taught as a kid. I didn't really have a whole lot of backing to support that. And I think a lot of the issues I was dealing with as a teenager came to a head at the same time. So I kind of like, I think atheism is, I don't believe in God, but I hate him. I think I kind of fell into that, and maybe a little agnosticism. Wasn't like hardcore hate God, but I didn't just have any sort of reason to support having a faith. And I got into Disney as an intern because I knew I wanted to be in the film industry. It was a little bit of a different company back then, but I think somewhat of the culture aspects you see in there now or there at the time. And I was also a lifeguard, and that was my college job. And being a lifeguard is weird because, or it was a different experience for me, and I think it kind of forced me to confront my anxiety, and it kind of served as an exposure therapy. And it was during that job when I stopped having anxiety, I stopped having compulsive thoughts and behavior, and stopped taking medication for OCD. And it was kind of like this weird sort of unexpected cure. And then I started asking myself, how can I pursue a career doing this kind of thing? And that's how I got into the fire service and EMS. I got an EMT job and started volunteering as a firefighter, and kind of one thing led to another. And while I guess I was in that stage of life, I met some pretty strong Christian friends who attended this college group at that same big church I'd grown up in. And it was like a college group of like 200. So it's like
wow.
a church of college students, really.
Mhm.
And during that time, I got into apologetics because I wanted to be actually able to explain and give reasons for my faith. And as I kind of progressed toward learning about theology, I became reformed, and here I am now, the Calvinist in the group, the token Calvinist. And the thing is, though, like I was going down this path as a firefighter, which is not a creative job at all. I still kind of had this need, I guess, to create burning in my head. And over time, I kind of got this idea of a story, and I just didn't know how to write it. And years and years go by, and you start writing something here and write something there. And over time, it becomes something. And then just sat down one day and started really just writing. And eventually it became that first draft of the story I told you about, where it was kind of preachy and way too much exposition, but it was a learning process, and did other drafts of it. And I think it's something I could be proud of now. But that's actually the graphic novel that I'd like to get made at some point.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's that. And kind of as a parallel between your testimony and Luke's, like you were a teacher, Luke was a pastor. I this last year decided I didn't want to be in the fire department I was at anymore. So right now I'm actually just working as a paramedic. I'm not currently a firefighter, but I don't know where things are going to lead. I may go back to another department. I may do something else entirely. Just I don't know where God's taking me right now, as far as that goes.
Theoretically, that's supposed to be half the fun. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Somehow I got tied in with you and Luke, and here we are.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're all just trying to figure some of the stuff out, and it's nice to have like kind of like a core of values, among shared values, and like extra. Like I've explained to people that like women make friendships only if they can like be friends with the women and then not be jealous of them at the same time. And sometimes I feel like any industry is exactly the same way. So it's like I can look at your comic stuff and be like, oh, that's cool. And I can look at Luke's stuff and be like, oh, hey, you set up your own crowdfunding thing. I would never be able to do that. Great job. And then I have my stuff and I'm just like, oh, here it is. You can like this too. And we can all be friends.
That's all intense.
That's what I'm here for. So
everybody's talking about faith and testimonials, and I'm just trying to wake up still. Like,
are you on Eastern time?
No, I was just like just before the stream, I was taking a nap. It's just been a long couple of days, and
Okay.
like I said, I
That's
spilled
Sundays.
my coffee just before I got on here, and like, yeah, you guys go ahead. I'm gonna take a couple more sips.
Yeah.
We can circle back to me and my faith.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Caffeine out.
Yeah.
It's Sunday anyway. It's like the best day, I think, statistically for a nap. So
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys ever watch the movie The Fablemans?
Nope.
Oh man.
Never heard of it.
Oh man. It's the most recent Steven Spielberg movie.
I've heard it's won
one
awards or it's been considered for it or something. So
Yeah. It's a really good movie. It seems like, I don't know, I just found that movie very relatable as far as his family life and how like that was like his expression. But
oh, I hate to wake you up too much, Whiskey, but I don't know who you are. So why don't you tell us who you are? If he didn't fall back asleep.
Whiskey muted himself. Yeah, I was wondering if he fell back asleep. No,
I will say I have like I don't like showing my face because I worry about stuff like that. You know, like I'll just fall asleep or I'll start violently picking my nose or something.
You there, Whiskey?
Yeah, I'm there. I missed out on it for a second there. My fiance just came home, so
okay.
Doing that, hello and all that stuff.
Yeah. You want to tell us about yourself, stuff you're working on? That kind of thing?
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I'm me. I'm Whiskey, and I just started get into the comic industry, doing basically it's for promoting the miniatures that I'm working on or tabletop games and stuff that I'm working on, and commission work for figures and all that stuff. And I ran into Luke somewhere along the way. I honestly can't remember how I started talking to him. It was promoting something or some other thing, and he was doing a stream. I'm like, hey, can I come on? Because I didn't know where to start, I guess, and that sort of got me into the Fund My Comics and doing streams with Luke on a fairly regular basis because he just kept allowing me to come on the stream. And through there, I've kind of met most of the community or some of the community, and making a name for myself. And yeah, man, that's kind of my story. Oh, there's Brownlow.
Nice.
And yeah, some of the stuff that we're working on, I guess, for Bandit and Ricochet, which is the studio or whatever that we got going on. I have a couple people under my belt. We have writers. I work with my fiance and myself, and we do working on a tabletop game called Bannersteed and Lance. It's a love letter to the medieval age, and it's basically takes up like 90% of my time. I've been this thing's been in development for several years now, and it's getting close to getting ready to launch, I guess, or maybe even play test at some point, but still a little bit ways out. So we're still in the trenches, I guess.
Nice.
Cool. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
I was in the other room. I didn't realize you made 2 rooms in StreamYard, so I went in the other one.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing a Twitter space today, but I wasn't sure how the mic feedback would work because you got to do it on the phone, and we've all got our separate mics for that. So I wasn't sure how that would work out.
I haven't seen how to make it work. I just heard that it's still got some kinks, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, no one's really talking about it, so I thought I'd make it cool, Just kidding. Ron DeSantis tried, and apparently it crashed and burned. I wasn't there to see it, though.
I think people are exaggerating that it crashed and burned, but I know it was kind of like a non-starter sort of. So.
Yeah, I was wondering if people were just exaggerating that.
Well, he didn't go through the media, and he didn't go down a golden staircase. So
right, you gotta have the golden staircase.
People were a little disappointed anyway. So. He didn't bring a decapitated Mickey Mouse head with him.
Right, that would have been way cooler if he did. Yeah.
What you guys doing? You guys having a cookout?
No, we just
Um,
call it the cookout.
Oh,
Yeah. It'd be
We're
way
hoping
cool
to
if we
get-
actually had burgers. We should do that next time. Everyone bring a burger to the stream.
we're just chow
I love
down.
hamburgers.
Actually, I'm gonna
Usually-
have burgers right after this.
We were
You gotta-
supposed to, so
You
my
got to
kids
do
wanna
it.
go
It's
to pool
summertime.
instead.
It's summertime and it's Sunday.
Yeah, my kids want to go to the pool instead, so that's what husband is doing.
Nice.
So
Mr. Belmont, want to tell us about yourself? What you're working on these days?
I am working on a bunch of stuff. I have Smokes 2 coming out, which is the follow-up to my first campaign written by Mike Barron.
Uh-huh.
And I got him to write the second script as well. And I got my Smokes figure coming out. It's a Keshi figure.
Uh-huh.
It's 2 inches. But the difference between my Keshi and other people's Keshis is mine's going to have removable weapons.
Okay.
oh, nice.
So it kind of like works like a Lego character. It has like a little peg on his hand, and then the peg of the weapon goes in the hand. So it's kind of like the same system.
Very cool.
It's a little bit different. And I have a secret project that I'm doing with Hojo,
Oh yeah.
which has already been written, which is has to be edited pretty soon. And then that's about it right now. That's a lot of stuff going on.
Nice.
Speaking about figures and miniatures and stuff, 3D and so on, that's what I'm working on as we speak. I just loaded it up. What's it called? Yeah, this here. Let me just show my screen.
Mhm.
Just throw that over here. If you don't mind.
Go for it.
I think it's really cool you guys know how to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Zombies. It didn't seem appropriate to throw a zombie on when we were talking about faith at first.
Well, I don't know how to do it either. I had to hire someone.
Is it like a 3D printer type thing?
When you get your prototypes, you usually print them out on resin and a 3D printer. Yes.
Okay.
But the next stage is to make them Keshis, which is basically rubber. So you'd have to make molds using those prototypes, and then you can make a bunch of them basically faster. As far as I know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not too familiar either. I haven't got to that step yet, so that's the next step after I get these prototypes. So we're still working on a little bit of fine details, trying to make sure the weapons are fitting the hands perfectly,
Yeah.
stuff like that. What do you got
I
there with
imagine
me?
Well,
sorry, what?
I'm working on a this is an older model I'm repurposing for it's a zombie. Speaking about comics, I'm getting into writing the first comic that I've ever written. It's called Driftwood, and I'm negotiating with what's his name? I can't even pronounce it. I have it written. Rodriguez. He's the gentleman that did Coney Waves.
Robert Rodriguez? No, I'm just kidding.
You guys familiar with that book? It's on. I think it's on Indiegogo.
Which book?
I'm not.
Connie Waves. It's about like a zombie.
Oh yeah, the surfing one.
Well, I think I have
Yeah.
seen that one. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
The artwork's excellent for that, and I'm
Mark
currently,
Fulton, right?
I think he's yeah, and
The writer.
what's her name? Sandy something or
Mark
other. Or I don't know. I can't remember who was on the book, but Rodriguez is I'm negotiating with him currently for page rates and for the artwork for this thing, and he's down for the project because I buttered him up quite a bit before I started to negotiate with him about the page rates, and so we're just like hashing it out here. I'm just getting a storyboard ready, so I'm going to be using this character and some other zombies I'm going to create quickly for the just to get help me with the storyboard to get out, because I'm not the best 2D artist at all.
Mhm.
I'm really good at 3D, but to be honest, I have stupid fingers when it comes to 2D. But these zombies here is going in the first the splash page of the book, and we're gonna have some necromancers in a caravan, and they're talking, but instead of horses, drawing or like pulling the wagon, I guess, that they're in, it's going to be undead zombies. So yeah, that's basically what's going on with this guy. So I'm just kind of taking the opportunity to use the stream to show you guys, and and I was going to work on it anyways. So I like to work when I'm doing streams.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
How long you been doing this?
3D. I can't remember.
Okay, that
long. Yeah.
Very cool.
Probably over 15 years, give or take.
Wow.
Maybe a little longer.
That's pretty cool. So you made like a lot of different stuff, I bet.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff.
That's cool.
You can always always check my art station. It's on my Twitter page, Bandit and Ricochet, and there's a link to my art station. There's a bunch of the commissions I've done, but I've also done a bunch of other stuff just for like personal use or whatever, art projects or failed project. It's like a sketchbook, right? You have a whole bunch of stuff. Some stuff you show, some stuff you don't. But I've been doing this for quite a while.
Very cool. Very cool.
What program is that?
This is ZBrush, which is an industry standard sculpting software. Unlike Blender, it's not free. It's around $800 USD, give or take. But I highly recommend it because I think it's a little bit better for sculpting than for pure sculpting than Blender is. But a lot of people that use ZBrush, they also use Blender because of the other things that Blender has that ZBrush doesn't. They have different uses, I guess. Even though they can get you to the same place with 3D, they're different softwares. And other people combine that with like Maya or Mudbox or Houdini so there's a bunch of different softwares, but this one's the one that I use.
And then you can like send it to the 3D printer from there.
Well, normally when you're setting up a 3D, if you guys have questions,
sorry,
about 3D
I have like no experience, so if I sound completely ignorant of this, I am.
So what happens is you get your 3D model and then you export it either as an OBJ or STL file, generally an STL file, which is the file header normally associated with 3D printing. And then you send that, either you do a what they call supports, because when you're doing a vat of resin and you're pulling the miniature or the model is being pulled out of the resin, right, from like upside down, it needs supports to hold on to it to like basically cover any overlapping corners and things that otherwise the model will kind of fail in a sense. So from here, if this was a complete model, you would add supports to it in different software, and then once that's supported, you would import that back into the 3D software, make the supports part of the 3D software, then export it a final time, then make sure everything's good, and then you start printing it. So it's a little bit of a process, but that's generally how it's done.
Nice. And this stuff goes to tabletop games also?
Well, not this thing. This one is not in the same kind of sizing for miniatures. This is strictly going to be used as a drawing aid for me, who is not a really great 2D artist, so I can storyboard out the comic book.
Very cool.
Which is called Driftwood. If hopefully you'll see that in the future, in the next year or so.
Nice. That's a unique way getting to the 2D. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
It's almost like that SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob draws the head and then erases it to get the perfect circle.
It's years ago when I was before I even got into 3D, I did want to be a comic book artist many years ago, and I can't remember who I was listening to on, it was like YouTube or whatever, and there was a gentleman, and he was working on this page, and he's like, what's it take to be a Marvel artist? And this is long before they went, this is my work here, just on Max splash page, so it's not my stuff. I'm just going to try to keep that moving so it doesn't do that. But yeah, ZBrush does that. It like when it's like a screensaver sort of. I'll just turn it off for a sec. There we go. So years ago, this gentleman, when I was looking at this gentleman doing this video, and I can't remember his name, he was talking about what it takes to get into Marvel comics, and he's drawing and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, he's a really good artist. But then he throws out some 3D stuff, and he starts talking about 3D, and he throws these like this backdrop of a 3D scene into the thing, and or into the stuff. So I'm like, oh, so that's what it takes. So I picked up the 3D stuff, and I found that I was just drawn to it, I guess, in a sense. And for whatever reason, at the same time, I was very fond of tabletop games, and I didn't really put it together that I could get into tabletop games with it yet. I was just kind of studying it for doing comics. But as the years progressed, and I started to get the funding required to actually make a tabletop game and figure out how all that stuff worked over the years, it just sort of fell together, and I started planning my own tabletop game. But I also had other industry experience. My father used to work at as a maintenance mechanic in an injection molding company for many years. So I learned a little bit about the industry there and got some contacts and so on and so forth. So basically, I've learned the industry inside and out at this point, for everything about miniatures and 3D printing, injection molding, and production aspect. And that's basically what we do. And you can find that all on our Bandit and Ricochet's the Twitter page there. We consult on every aspect of getting a tabletop game, from the design phase all the way to production, and the different ways you can produce that, from spin casting to injection molding to and the tolerances and things, what they call minimum feature thickness for those different those kind of things. So it's been my life for, like I said, last more than 15 years now. I've been studying and working with this stuff, and in and around plastic and that kind of thing for many years.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But as for comics, I'm finally getting back into comics. So it's like a reverse kind of situation here.
So you said you wanted to be a comic book artist since you were a kid?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Always. As soon as I saw Marvel, like many years ago, but long before they went stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard people who've grown up with the comics say that the comics eventually get stupid too. So
comics?
Yeah, but eventually, like, they have to reset all the timelines, and they have to they do a lot of like soft rebooting, and it's yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
go ahead.
It's like one of the main differences between like comics and manga, right?
I don't know. What do you? I mean, maybe Belmont would know this one. So if we haven't like scared him off yet, so.
Right?
No, I'm here.
Wasn't that like one of the main difference between like Western comics and manga is like the one storyline versus like the constant reboots and whatnot?
I don't know. I don't know anything about manga.
Oh, great. I'm asking the wrong people.
Yeah.
Most of the manga I know go on forever, though. Like,
yeah. It's like a soap opera. It's just the one storyline forever and ever.
Yep.
Yeah, I was never into manga. I don't know, reading right to left or whatever and all that stuff. It's just weird to me.
I've read a few manga over the years, but it's not necessarily manga. I prefer comics for sure. Yeah. I do have a crazy collection of comics, but I got a few.
Your sound was doing something weird there.
Hang on one sec. I'll just reset. Is it good now, or we're good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, I don't know.
Might just be an internet thing.
Yeah,
probably. I'm over here in Canada, so it's.
Oh, okay.
It's a third world country. You know.
You were saying something about comics compared to manga.
Yeah, I'm more into comics than I am in manga for sure. So like I couldn't tell you much about manga in comparison to comics. I can tell you about comics. And I can tell you about tabletop games.
Yeah. What's your favorite tabletop game?
I would say, you know what? I don't actually have one right now. as a favorite because I did have a favorite, but the same thing that happened to Marvel happened to the same company, which is I used to enjoy, which is called Games
Oh.
Workshop, and they used to make this game, or they make this game. They don't used to, they still do, called Warhammer 40,000, and it was my favorite game. But they've butchered it over the years, and I haven't played any tabletop games in quite a while since I started my project as well. So it's like it's kind of I don't have. It's like you're an adult and you're like you can afford to buy all the games that you want to play, but you don't have any time to play them.
Mm.
So I'm in that kind of boat. So I don't really have a favorite game right now. I just some like I guess backups that I want to check out, but I haven't really even had the time is what the heck's it called? Test of Honor. It's a game about samurai I wanted to check out.
Okay.
But again, I haven't had the time to actually play any of the stuff for quite a while now.
I recently got into a D&D campaign.
That's a tabletop game.
Yeah. It's my first one.
I never played any tabletop stuff.
Oh,
except for Risk. Risk, is that a tabletop?
That counts, yeah.
It counts.
Stratego.
Yeah, Stratego. That's what I thought.
That's about it.
I used to love Stratego as a kid. It's like we were all little Napoleons.
Oh, my husband buys a lot of the newer games that come out that he just thinks the kids will like. And so we've played Forbidden Island, Azul, Prime Climb. That's probably like we get a lot of more family ones.
Yeah.
So
I got my sister that pie in the face game where you gotta like keep doing cranking it and then somebody gets a pie slapped in their face or something. You put whipped cream or something. See that?
See, as a mom, that sounds too messy, so I would hate it. It's not even a matter of like cream. It's like, I don't want to clean this up.
That does sound like a messy game to play.
I think the tabletop games that you have like a lot of moving pieces are intimidating for me because I have cats and dogs too. So the last thing I want is to like you have like a 40-hour campaign and then you wake up in the morning and it's all over the kitchen because your cats are eating it or something.
Yeah.
Definitely something you want to do in a garage or a basement or some other place where your cats, aren't normally going, for sure.
Oh, I don't know. They think they're the king and queen of the house. So
I guess it also depends on the temperament of your cat too. Like I found that particularly with when I had more time, I was playing tabletop games, and we often use the floor to play or whatever when like I get an equipped game because like sometimes you can't set up a table and the floor is a little easier to go. My cat or the cats that I've owned over the years, most of them stay away from the miniatures. They'll walk in and around them, but they don't generally mess with them because of the paint smell, right? They just kind of mostly stay away. It's not food, so generally don't bother. Occasionally you'll knock over like a piece of terrain or like a tall miniature, but and you like they interrupt the game, of course, because they're walking through, but they don't generally do any damage. Very rare, I'd say. So I mean, it depends, but I don't have a dog, so I don't know what that'd be like.
Usually it's safe enough if there's no food around, but oh well, yep. So you said you were working with Mike Barron?
Yeah. I was talking to RJ before. He lives in Colorado.
Yeah.
He spent some really good
by
stuff.
him more than me. Yeah, he lives in his area more than mine.
Yeah.
I see Mike every year at the Rocky Mountain Con. It's a convention out here in November. And one day I just pitched it to him. I said, "Hey, I got a idea for a pot smoking fox. Do you want to write my comic?" And he's like, "Sure, I'm in." And I didn't know if he was fucking, joking or whatever, but he was actually serious, And then a couple weeks later, I got a script, and I began production. It's a character that I created when I was about 15, so a while back. I just had it in the back of my mind all these years that I wanted to do something with them. So in 2019, I launched Smokes on Indiegogo, and then I
Nice.
put it on Kickstarter, which is now, I guess, forbidden. But I got a few
The
backers
enemy.
on there. It was worth it for me to put it on Kickstarter. You know what I mean? I mean, you
Mhm.
don't have to back. No one's forcing anybody to back it on Kickstarter. I know that a lot of guys won't promote a Kickstarter. That's fine. I put it on Kickstarter because there's people on Kickstarter that won't promote or won't buy on Indiegogo.
Yeah, I've noticed that the other way around too. So
More tribalism.
Yeah, so this goes both ways. Some people won't. So then I also put it on Fund My Comic. I don't care wherever there's comic book fans, I want to put it out there.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to get my name out there, my books out there to many people as I can. And this is my
yeah,
my dream. I think everybody else had a dream when they were a kid. They wanted to create their own comic book. Anybody who was a big comic book fan, I think there's always some kind of character they have in mind or a story.
yeah.
Um, I'm not much of an artist, so I just have to hire everyone. But
I've
Hmm.
talked with Mike before a few times. He's very nice. So kudos to you for getting him to draw your comic.
Yeah, I was
right,
curious
right,
about
right, my comic.
Smokes. Can you tell me about it? Because I wanted to check it out in the future at some point, but I haven't had the opportunity yet.
Smokes is a. You want me to bring up the campaign?
Yeah, go
it's
for it.
good, man.
I think I have it somewhere over here.
I
He's
think
a character I created when I was 15. Right around the time I discovered marijuana.
I
And
can't imagine how that came about.
yeah, and I was a big fan of. Hold on. Here we go. That's Smokes right there. Are you familiar with Gerhard Cerebus, the aardvark?
Nope.
Unfamiliar.
I
Sorry.
know the Greek myth of the Cerberus. So
No, the Cerebus, the aardvark was a comic that was indie
okay.
book that ran 300 issues. It was the longest running indie title for a while until Spawn surpassed it. And Gerhard was the background artist for the title, and he's known for drawing animal creatures and highly detailed backgrounds. Probably one of the best background artists in comics. I was a big fan of his and his cross hatching, and I just asked him, do you want to be a part of my book? So I try to get out as many people as I could that that I look up, people that I looked up to, people that I comics that I bought, creators that I like, and brought them onto this project. So the first person I got was Mike Barron because he was in my area. I always liked this stuff. I was a big fan of Valiant Comics, Image, back in the '90s. And one of the first comics I remember seeing on the wall was his Punisher. I don't know if you remember that one, the Punisher, where it's a Joe Jusko cover and he's skiing, and there's like some guys on like snowmobiles chasing him, like shooting at him. I remember that cover on the shelf, and that was the first comic that caught my eye. So I used to go to a comic book shop to buy baseball cards, and that comic book just got to me, I guess. And after a while, I just started buying comic books at that shop.
Nice.
And then when I discovered marijuana, and then just sketching one day, and I drew out this fox smoking out of a pipe, and I just put an X on the pipe. I might have been influenced by Star Fox, that video game that came out back like on Nintendo 64, Nintendo, and all that.
Star Fox.
I might have been influenced by that because it was around the time that I created them. And then I just just threw it in a drawer, and then every once in a while I'll draw another sketch, and that was about it. And then years later, it just kept coming back in my mind. I got to do something about that character. And then when I discovered, Comicsgate and all these indie creators coming back and putting out their comics, and there's now funding. There's a way to fund your comic, using these platforms like Indiegogo and Fund My Comic and everything else. And EVS found a way, to do it. You opened the
Mhm.
door for all us creators to. We don't have to get hired by an editor. You know what I mean? An editor doesn't have to like us. We can do
Right.
whatever we want. We have complete freedom. Well, we
Mhm.
did until we started getting shadow banned.
Yeah.
Now everything's all screwed up. You know what I mean? Some people are saying, they won't back somebody if they put a Kickstarter up and all that stuff. Well, I am guilty of putting a Kickstarter up. I mean, if you don't want to promote it, you don't want to promote it. But the story about Smokes is he's he's half human, half fox hybrid. He was created in a lab with the help of alien technology in an underground facility on the New Mexico Colorado border. If you're familiar with Dulce Base, that lore, if you're into like UFO stuff, supposedly there's a secret military base underneath the ground in New Mexico that right there on the border in the mountains, and supposedly they're working with aliens and doing genetic experiments and stuff like that. So I kind of got the idea right there. And then Smokes is so intelligent that he's able to escape that facility. I call it Project Minotaur, the secret
Okay.
program where they make these hybrids. And Smokes is just one of the hybrids, but he's the smartest one. Then when he escapes,
Makes sense. He's a fox.
yeah, he's a fox. He's the smartest one. He's able to escape, this super secure facility. He gets outside, and then they send a werewolf creature after him, which I call weaponized werewolf. And he is, he's half wolf and half human as well. And that's kind of how the story goes from there.
A little bit like Weapon X, eh?
A little bit. I got a little bit of everything in there.
Nice.
We got aliens. We got pot. We got Colorado. What's not to like? You know what I mean? So it starts off in New Mexico, and then it ends up in Colorado. I don't want to go, tell you too much, but that's how it starts. And then the second issue ends kind of in a cliffhanger on the first issue, and then the second issue continues.
Very cool.
Oh, well, I think cliffhangers are tricky. It's just so I'm a novelist, and sometimes that can make people angry.
Yeah, I told Mike the gist of the story and how I wanted to go. I didn't really have the funds to make a graphic novel and make it like a 48 pager or whatever. Because I wanted to use really good a really good creative team. So I actually, after I got Mike, I asked Don Perlin. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Don Perlin.
No, I'm not.
Don Perlin was the artist of Bloodshot. He created the character Bloodshot. He also created Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think, doesn't he work for Marvel?
Yeah, he used to work for Marvel.
Yeah.
He's retired now, but he used to do Ghost Rider. He did a run on Ghost Rider. He also did Werewolf by Night. So Mike had this idea of adding the werewolf to the story, because originally my story didn't have a werewolf in it.
Okay.
And when he heard that I was going to get Don Perlin, he's like, he put a werewolf in the story. And since Don, is known for drawing Werewolf by Night, it made sense. And also Ghost Rider. So having him do the cover with a motorcycle on the cover. And I added little flames on the back of the tire. I had my artist add that. So just give a little bit of a Ghost Rider feel to the cover, just a little bit. Just like just to tip my hat to his Ghost Rider run. So this is my main cover, and the inks were done by Bob Layton. Like, so these are two of my favorite artists that work for Valiant, and I'm just so glad they were going to work with me. Some guys won't, some pros won't work with a new creator or anything like that. You hit them up, and they're going to be like, "Who the hell are you? You want me to draw a pot smoking fox?" It's not going to go well. So I had to build a relationship with these guys. I've seen them for years. I've commissioned them for things over the years, and then I'd asked them one day, And they said, sure. But the average guy goes to a pro. They're not going to like say, yeah, I'll draw your cover.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people won't give you the time of day.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I would get intimidated by asking in the first place. So good job.
Well, CJ has a comic. You want to tell him about your comic real quick, CJ?
Yeah, what about your comic?
So I got my first comic almost ready. It's about a musical superhero down in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, we have a large problem with human trafficking. So I'm like, New York has enough superheroes, so let's have one that's really focused on just beating out the human traffickers. So
That's why you're getting shadow banned.
yeah, probably. I've already warned people, if I die before this finishes, you'll know why.
Definitely not suicidal.
So you're working on
CJ
your
didn't
first
kill
book right
herself.
now.
My first comic, yeah. I've written books for a long time, so I've got 10 years worth of books under my belt here. And I mean, for what they are, they're pretty well reviewed. So I have a literary fiction background, so it's hard sneaking the deeper philosophical things in sometimes without people getting like, I don't know, getting turned off, I guess. So
Yeah, that's the trick with art.
well, I mean, it's fun on Twitter sometimes because the oh, sorry, hang on one sec. My audio died.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so
No worries.
but can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, see if that works. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
It sounds much better.
I can't hear you anymore. See,
Oh.
I start talking about my comic and I can't do it.
Yep, they're banning us.
So
You're on the spot now. Can you guys hear? Am I good?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Oh, okay, that's good.
All right, well,
CJ left.
Yeah, she'll be back. She'll be back. Yeah, I'm in the early phase, the earliest phase of a comic, I guess. Pre-production, I guess you would say, if it were a movie, because I have a script written, but no artist currently to draw it. So
the hunt for artists is actually tough because I was just doing that myself.
Yes, there's everybody and their mother now wants to make a comic book.
Right.
So securing your artist is hard because some artists are like backed up. They might have 2 or 3 projects that they're working on.
And she's back.
Yes.
There we go. Hey, CJ.
Sorry about that.
I asked like 30, 40 artists to work and or reached out to a bunch of people, and a lot of people like either didn't have the same kind of style that I wanted or wouldn't compromise their artistic integrity to do what I wanted to do, and other people like had more expensive page rates, or and you just go through it and eventually hopefully you find somebody. And luckily the guy that Rodriguez, the gentleman that did Connie Waves, he was one of the first guys I messaged, but his whole thing was full for like a year. But he we negotiated a bit, and we're still negotiating now, but like I managed to squeeze in like a slower page delivery. And so I'm going to get maybe it's either going to be a couple pages a month, or it's going to be like 2 pages to start, and then in 9 months start the full comic. It's one of those kind of deals. So we're just kind of figuring out what's good for him, what's good for me. And and I'm really excited because he's like one of the first guys I met or messaged to start with. And he's, if you see his art, it's sick, right? Like, so
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a difficult process. Sorry, CJ, we lost you. You're back now.
Okay. No, it's okay. I was making sure everything was okay. So, yeah. It's like I said, it's really cool that you get to work with people that you like, and you can work with them. And it does take time. So I know I started scripting my comic about a year ago now. So
Okay. Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
takes time.
It took about 3 years for me to put out, so because my campaign is actually 2 comic books.
Okay.
Smokes is the main title, but I'm also giving everybody who backs a bonus comic, which is a weaponized werewolf, and both stories go together. So when you read them both, you get like the full picture.
Okay, cool.
kind of like the antagonist backstory.
Um, a little bit, yeah. It goes back time about 15 years.
Oh, okay. Like a prequel.
It's got these, like,
Yeah,
really
basically,
long-
yeah. Weaponized werewolf is a prequel, so to speak.
Nice.
Tells you what happened in Project Minotaur before the smoke story. Then when you put
Okay.
them together, it makes sense.
Awesome.
But yeah, it does take a lot of time. At least 3 years of development. I think I got my script from Mike in 2019 in like November, December-ish,
Oh, dang.
towards the end of the year. And then you got to wait on artists because they're working on a project or whatever. You got to wait for them to finish. Then you're in a queue of some sort,
Yes.
Mhm.
no matter who it is, pretty much.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I thought it would be easier to put out 2 comic books than 1, because then I can have 2 artists working on the book instead of waiting for one guy to draw one big long book. That's the
Mhm.
way I looked at it anyway. Since my production of Smokes was going kind of slow, I decided to start working on a second book instead of making it longer. I think that worked
Okay.
out. Not a lot of campaigns put out 2 comics in one campaign. It's a little bit
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's a creative way to do it. It seems like it makes sense for a crowdfunder with the budget and everything.
Yeah, I
That
overspent. I
way,
went way
the
over budget.
release.
You know what I mean? But I wanted to do it right. I learned a lot from this experience. You know what I mean? Now I know how to make a comic book from beginning to end, like
Mhm.
every step of the way, and what's involved. I had a general idea. I mean, everybody has a general idea, but there's a lot of stuff people don't think about when you're making a comic book. There's a lot of steps, and
Yeah.
a lot of money is needed, a lot of love and a lot of time.
I
And
think,
you gotta
yeah, passion is, you can always tell the ones that are passion projects and the ones that are just kind of like cash grabs and stuff. So
Yeah, I was talking about this on a stream the other day. You could tell when somebody is just making a so-so product and just putting out something because they feel like it, and there's other people that are going all in and they're trying to make the best comic book they can. Those are the people that I want to back. There's so many people, so many creators now that there's an endless amount of campaigns you can back. I want to back the guys that are really all in.
Yeah.
That really are passionate about what they're doing, not just putting out a book with some boobs and trying to make 20 grand. I see that a
Yeah.
lot too.
I've seen some of that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on out there.
Yeah.
Boobs sell things. Budweiser
Yes, they
forgot
do.
that.
They do, certainly do.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you can still have a good story and have sexy characters or whatever. It could be done.
Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, like the best stories are ones that can show, like they can convey truth about human nature and life and reality, and
Mhm.
just kind of, I mean, the fantastical elements add to the reality in many ways. So,
Yeah.
You guys you're talking about having like these scripts and stuff like a year out, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna wing it. No, I guess I'm a natural storyteller. Like for
some
the
people
tabletop.
are fortunate in that regard. So
So you guys are all basically at the script stage right now.
Yeah.
I'm scripting
Well-
number 2 and working on some edits, and then I'll get funding. I also wanted to write a light novel, so I'm a novelist. So I'm working on like the novel version of my comic, so I can give that out. As well.
Adaptation of it in the
Mhm.
comic book form. Yeah, Mike Barron does that too with the Star Wars books. He's done that. It's kind of difficult I've heard. I've never done it, but
It's more difficult, I think, for people coming at it from a comics position before the writing. It's actually a lot easier for me, but I tend to be very wordy too. So, but there's some things that words can do that pictures can't, and I like that. And then starting for the reason it's my first comic is I'm not working from like a book that I'm trying to adapt, so I'm doing it the opposite way. It's an interesting project, if nothing else.
Yeah. That's cool. You guys both have plans to like get something out there, and then with the follow up that kind of adds to it. It's not just a sequel.
Oh, I mean, I've met a lot of really nice people, including, RJ and Luke and now you guys who, like if I need something, I know I can reach out to and stuff. So that's kind of like the nice.
Yeah, there's somebody out there that'll help no matter what kind of question you have regarding colorist, penciler, inker, editing, whatever, pre-press,
Yeah.
printing. Man, there's so many steps.
Who do you guys use for printers?
I'm trying to find my local printer that prices out first, just because
I recommend you go local because you can actually go down there and see your product, and then you don't have to worry about getting dinged up comics as well.
Yeah,
smart.
I haven't got to that stage yet, but when I'm there, I'll let you know.
But RJ, there's only one place in Colorado that I know of that does comics.
Oh, really?
At least in my area, and that's Avanti Press.
Oh, okay.
They're in Inglewood.
Okay. Interesting. I used to work in Inglewood, but the other Inglewood in California.
No, Inglewood, Colorado. It's a little shop. They do offset press printing.
Yeah. Someone on YouTube mentioned Kablam, and they seem like they got
You can also go like online route. There's what is it? That place in Michigan, Gecko Publishing or something.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? It also goes by another name, but it's owned by Gecko Publishing.
Okay.
Now I can't even think of it now.
Well, don't force yourself too hard. I actually have to say goodbye because it's 8:00 and I'm doing another.
8:00.
Yeah, I'd say we're probably about that time. I think someone else here had to go also.
Yep. Well, I don't have a link or anything, but follow me on Twitter. That's my Twitter, and you'll probably see stuff there. It's nice meeting you, Belmont and Whiskey. So,
You guys have any questions?
Guys.
Yeah.
Need help promoting or anything? Just let me know. That's what we do. We help promote the new guys, the new creators that want to get into this crazy world of ours.
When I get my Fund My Comic link, yeah. If I can get the Fund My Comic link up, I'll be sure to make sure I bother you.
Also, you're gonna launch on Fund My Comic.
Yeah. Oh well, I tried it on Kickstarter. Like I said, it's talking about human trafficking. It's like you kind of expect to be shadow banned. Yeah. So I'm trying to get the light novel done, and then I'll relaunch on Fund My Comic.
Sweet.
All right.
Yeah. So I'll see you then. All right. Have a good night, everybody. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah. All right. We're going to hit the outro. Good night, everybody.
Nice meeting you, RJ.
Nice meeting you as well.
Whiskey.
Even the appetizing process of broiling the hamburgers is fun and promotes friendship and good fellowship.